Hello my friends and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 New Dawn run. Hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to showcase a weapon that you don't get to see that often, but is really powerful in the right hands, and those hands are the dwarves, the mace. The dwarf has minus 100% attack speed, and the mace scales with your negative attack speed. So the lower your attack speed is, the more damage the mace gets. You also gain the benefits of the heavy weapon tag, which multiplies the free melee damage that you get from this character pretty well, and the medieval weapon tag, which helps your defenses, which are always a challenge for the dwarf in general. So this is a really nice weapon for this character. It's also a weapon we don't get to use that often, so we're going to jump in with the mace. Now with the dwarf, we want to run away from the enemies at the start of the run, because I want to make sure that every time I attack, I'm killing 6 enemies at once. Ideally, no more than 6, because you're going to waste your passive trigger if you kill more than 6 at a time. But you want to stack up the enemies on top of each other, because every time you kill 6 enemies with a single swing, you get 1 point of engineering. In addition, every 2 points of engineering give you 1 point of melee damage with the dwarf, which is basically like getting half of a level 1 item every single time you proc the dwarf's passive. That's obviously incredibly powerful, so you really want to make sure you're doing that. And even if you end up getting a little less money than normal, as a result of trying to do that, it's worth it, because you get a huge amount of materials worth of stats for free every time you trigger it. Here we actually did get all 59 materials that it's possible to get in Wave 1, but even if we hadn't, it would have been worth it, because we got 3 engineering for free. We're going to re-roll here, and we'll take 5 harvesting and go to the next wave. Now, this shop is kind of interesting. Because we're using maces, we can't buy a weapon on the first shop. It's not possible for a level 2 weapon like mace, which only shows up at level 2 or higher, to appear in the first shop. So we could buy something else. I think what I'm going to do, though, is save my money and make sure that we have enough money to buy a mace next shop. But I will buy this book. Although engineering is not usually worth buying on the dwarf, because you get so much for free, a book for 9 materials, I think, is worth it. It's just so efficient, and it's another level 1 item if we find a fairy or something like that. And then we'll re-roll, and we'll try to lock a couple good economy items to buy later on. I'm going to ban Butterfly and Charcoal. I don't really need either of these, and then we'll roll again. And Whistle and Broken Mouth, these are both good items to lock. I could buy the Whistle, but I think there's a chance that if I do that and then we roll into a mace, we won't have the money to buy it, so I'm going to pass on buying the Whistle for now. So we are getting a couple attacks here, but then we'll stack up those enemies. Unfortunately, I let those guys get too close, so I was never going to be able to get a passive trigger off of them, but we should be able to stack up a few enemies here. Totally okay to take some damage in order to get more triggers off your passive. That's the most important thing in the early game. I did miss one swing there. I mistimed my movement slightly, so I lost a couple materials doing that. But again, it's okay, because we got 3 triggers of our passive. No, only 2 this wave, because we bought the book. But still, that's like getting a whole level 1 item for free. And to take some regeneration, harvesting is also really good, but regeneration is really important to get early on this character, because you need to be able to walk into groups of enemies in order to trigger your passive, so you need to be able to heal. I'm going to roll a couple times looking for a mace, but I'm otherwise just going to save my money here. Actually, I could have bought one of the locked items that we have. So that was a slight mistake, because I would still have enough money to buy a mace next wave. So yeah, I definitely should have bought one of the items that I had locked there. If we don't find another mace this wave, I'll buy some other weapon, just to make sure that we're not falling too far behind in our ability to clear waves and make money. But for the first few waves, we can just focus on getting extra damage here. Reroll, and I'll take 3 max HP. Harvesting is good for this character, of course, but you don't need to roll as aggressively for it, because again, you're getting so many free stats that we just need to focus on surviving and making sure we can trigger our passive enough times. And then that'll be all the economy we ever need. Okay, yeah, so I could have bought the Whistle before going into wave 3 there. That was a slight error, but we're now able to buy the mace, and then I'll buy a whistle. And we won't be able to buy another mace anyways, so let's just pick up the broken mouth and then reroll and reroll again. We'll lock another mace. That's perfect. Small fish I want because it reduces my attack speed, which is going to increase the damage that our maces are doing. And also, one-shotting enemies is really important to trigger the dwarf passive. Boxing glove we don't need. Melee damage is free on this character, so we're just going to go ahead and ban this item. And we don't really have any use for knockback. So now it's going to be a little bit harder to get passive triggers just because we have 2 weapons, so we're less likely for one swing to kill 6 enemies. But you can still get a few, and you saw we got one there. I didn't actually manage to get one there, which is a little unfortunate, but we should be able to get one with this swing, yeah. And then as more and more enemies spawn, we'll also start getting more and more triggers. I'm also not going to worry too much about getting Curse on this character. Again, the Dwarf, the whole point of this character is the free economy you get from your passive. You don't need to focus on economy stats. I'll take the Alien Tongue, that's a nice item for us. We will still take 8 Harvesting, though Regen or Luck are also really good, but early Harvesting is still excellent. The fact that I found 3 maces is a little lucky as well, because this is a weapon that only shows up at level 2 or higher, so finding 3 of them this early isn't that likely, but we were able to do so. A lock, sharp bullet, and mushroom, and pencil, I'm going to leave it in the pool, but I'm not going to buy it, because we get engineering for free, so spending 25 on engineering is a little bit iffy on this character. Go ahead and ban the glasses there, and then do a reroll, lock Gentle Alien, and we're hoping for another mace to show up, but 3 is totally fine. We'll get the others later. Sharp Bullet I'm buying also, both because it gives me an extra ban, just removing it from the pool is nice. And because, obviously, we've got all this engineering, so if we do get structures, if we find a structure item or a pocket factory or something, then this character can use them extremely well, so we're setting up the Sharp Bullet to make that an option later on. That was a little unlucky. My weapons all hit exactly the wrong number of enemies to get a passive trigger. We should get one here, though. I do need to be a little careful, just from the cursed enemies and the buffed clam, though. Get that tree kill, and we're still making decent money every wave. I could reroll here for harvesting, because that would get me to 21 harvesting. I could also just take 2 regen. Let's roll once, and I missed, but I'll take 6 movement speed. Movement speed is going to be really important for this character as well, because it just makes it so much easier for you to get in position to hit 6 enemies at once. Gentle Alien, also excellent, obviously. It's always a great item, but especially for the Dwarf, because the more enemies there are on the field, the more likely you are to kill 6 with a single blow. Now, reroll, locking these 2 items, because although lifesteal is terrible for us, we basically want any regeneration we can get, so the Blood Leech, even though it's very inefficient, is still going to be worth grabbing. Again, backing off of the enemies, and we're going to try to stack them up and focus on getting more and more passive triggers. Once I have a couple more points of regen, this will also get a lot easier. Or enough luck that we can reliably get consumable healing off of these big groups of enemies. I really like this character because the puzzle of trying to stack your stats is really fun. I know there are a lot of people who really hate playing this character because it does require more precise movement, so I don't blame you if you find this character frustrating, but for me it's really enjoyable. I'll take 3 regen here. Mace only has 1.5x crit damage, so you don't really want to buy crit chance on it. And then we'll reroll. We don't need to buy melee damage, we're going to get that for free from our passive. I could take 2 more regen or 5 luck. With -2 luck, I do want to boost my luck. Percent damage is also fine, but we will get a little more for free from the heavy weapon tag. I think I'm just going to take 2 regen. I really want to make sure that my regeneration is high. I'll buy the fish hook and the wheelbarrow. That gets me to 34 harvesting right away. And decomposing flesh. Lifesteal is just not going to be good on this character, so I'll pass on the decomposing flesh, and in fact, I'll just ban it. and then we'll reroll. We'll lock a Scar and reroll again. I'm still looking for more maces. We are a little low on those. Because I have a fish hook, I'll roll again for 10 here. Cyberball I don't want, but I'm going to lock it because if it gets cursed, I might buy it. If it doesn't get cursed, I can ban it for a free reroll alongside buying these other 3 items. And we don't care about Cyberball. We don't really want items like that that deal random damage to enemies because it just makes it less likely that we get to kill 6 of them at once. I do need to kill this Gobbler. We also did get blessed by the appearance of Cursed Walrus, which is going to make things a little more difficult because it has lots of health and does a lot of damage. So I might not be able to chase down the Gobbler because I just have too much damage and too much threat on the field with my slow attack speed. Thanks to the Cursed Walrus, which is chasing me here. Trying to avoid taking too much damage, but still make sure that we are getting our passive to trigger. We'll take the black belt here. I do want to increase my XP gain, and then I'll do a reroll, and we've negative 10 luck, which is pretty unfortunate. I will take 5 luck here. Okay, so I should be able to buy all of these, and then we'll ban Cyberball. With negative 5 luck, we don't want that, but it gives me a free reroll, so it was worth buying. Landmines I'll take. Cute Monkey will take. That's a great way to heal. And then Ugly Tooth, I guess we'll pick this up as well. I do want more movement speed, but Ugly Tooth can be pretty nice, especially when cursed, so we're just locking this entire shop. I'm glad we finally found a 4th weapon. That's going to be something that's really important for us. Oh, excuse me. Apologies to headphone users. The mighty dad sneeze comes for us all. So at this point, I don't need to worry too much about my passive. There's enough enemies starting wave 8 that we will get triggers of the passive just naturally without having to like really go out of our way to move to make it happen. And you can see our stats are really starting to build up pretty powerfully. And the more enemies there are, the better. If you have a horde wave on this character, you should get tons of stats from that. Dangerous Bunny is great. We're very happy with that. Okay, so here I need to make some pretty important decisions what I'm spending my level 3 level up here on. I could take 9 movement speed. That would be really good. I could take 9 HP, or I could roll for regeneration, which is also pretty useful. Percent damage wouldn't be bad. But I think I'm going to roll for armor or luck. I have 0 armor currently and negative luck, so I really want to fix both of those stats. So we'll roll and we'll take whichever one shows up first, and then here I'm going to take 2 armor. Super important that I get enough armor that we can survive when enemies deal damage to us, because we're always going to be taking damage on this character with really low attack speed. I'm still going to buy everything this wave because... Oh, we have exactly enough money to do it and get 2 free rerolls. That's kind of fun. We'll lock the turret. We'll lock the gentle alien. Banner, I don't really want to increase my attack speed because it will reduce the damage of our maces. Although we can still build attack speed on this character because we're getting so much base damage for free. But I think I'm going to leave it in the pool and do a reroll here. And I'll lock the campfire because more regen is obviously excellent. And again, this is a potential chance to curse something with Fishhook. We don't have to build only maces. I could have added that hammer in potentially, but just to show off the weapon, I'm going to use only maces for this run. I'm going to try to kill most of these eggs because the slashers do put a lot of pressure on us. And we want to be able to kill these big groups of enemies. Wave 9, there's just a lot of enemies on the field. So really nice to be able to focus on taking those down and getting triggers of our passive. Got that loot alien kill. And again, walking into big groups of enemies, always powerful for this character. Get that one as well. that one. And you can see, again, we're just getting so many points of free stats. Every swing, we're getting basically half an item for free. Insanity, we're going to go ahead and ban. We don't want to build crit chance on this character, so we're just getting rid of that. And then duct tape, I'll take. Here, I do still need armor. I also need regen. I think I'm going to take the regeneration over the armor, because I've got 4 armor. We have the medieval weapon tag, so we'll get at least, we'll get 1 more armor from that whenever I finish building my maces. And so regen is just going to be the most important thing for us. I could take 8 harvesting here, but we, again, don't really want to focus on economy stats on this character because you get so much for free. So we'll roll and we'll take 9 max HP just to make ourselves a little tougher. Cursed Turret, not exactly the weapon that I wanted or the item that I wanted, but it does do 107 damage. And we have the Sharp Bullet, so we're getting pretty significant benefits from it. Campfire, 2 speed for 2 regen is worth it. It's sad that it didn't get cursed, but we do still want the campfire. Scared Sausage, I think we can pass on. Boiling Water, I'm just going to ban here. I will lock the campfire and the injection, and I'll roll. And Banner, I could lock. I could also buy it. Oh, actually, yeah, I shouldn't have locked. I wanted to lock the campfire because I'd rather get this cursed. I don't really want to buy another not cursed one. But for some reason, I didn't think I had enough money. But let's leave the campfire locked and do another reroll, and then we'll lock a couple more items. Well, we'll buy the recycling machine, roll again, and roll one more time looking for a mace. Cursed Piggy Bank would be pretty good. If you get it cursed, it's pretty nice. So I'll lock that. Ritual does cost me 2 engineering, which is also 2 melee damage. So I think we'll pass on that. I could lock it and try to curse it, but even cursed, I don't think it's going to be that exciting for us. So the main thing that I'm missing right now is just defensive stats and obviously our last 2 weapons. Wave 10, again, has tons of enemies, so we want to focus on more and more passive triggers. One thing that's important to know also about the Dwarf is that you don't get double triggers if you kill 12 enemies. You still only get the 1. So one swing, you want to kill exactly 6 enemies, no more, no less, ideally. I wouldn't go crazy trying to arrange that because you can really make yourself lose a lot of money or put yourself in dangerous situations trying to ensure that you kill exactly 6 enemies. But if you could arrange it perfectly, that would be the ideal. We'll take the guard in there, and then I'll take 12% damage, and then here 3 more armor. So now I'm up to 8 armor. Fishhook really not coming in handy here, but I will. So I'm not going to buy the piggy bank. I'll buy the campfire anyways, because I still want more regeneration. So we'll buy both of those. Here's another mace and a barnacle. So I will buy both of those as well. And we're going to focus on maces, so I'm going to pass on the Vorpal Sword here. We'll reroll. This is a spot where we can actually just buy attack speed. So even though mace scales negatively with attack speed, the base damage of our weapon is going to be so incredibly high because we're getting so many free points of engineering. We've already kind of gotten the main benefit of the negative attack speed scaling with mace, which is the really high early base damage. Now I actually want to boost my attack speed a little bit with efficient items like coffee, because we hit for so much that increasing our attack speed and decreasing our base damage is still good. Yeah, I'll take the Cursed Eye Surgery just because it's cursed. This is has been a rough wave for me so far because I managed to arrange it so that all of my weapon swings were only hitting like 4 enemies, and we were not getting any free stats. But again, we're just going to get free stats over time, so I really don't need to focus my movement or attention on that. I still notice, though, and it makes me sad. Saw a loot alien spawn at the bottom of the wave here. Take that out. I would love more consumable heal. I did reduce my consumable heal by buying that alien worm, and even with low luck, as a melee character, consumable heal is always important to your survivability. White flag, of course, for recycling, and then here I've got the barnacle, so this is worth extra stats. I don't really need max HP. We obviously don't need melee damage, so let's reroll here. And yeah, we'll take 4 regen. It's not the most exciting thing, but regeneration is just so important to this character. We'll go ahead and buy everything here and then reroll. Cursed Bone Dice I will buy as well. Incendiary Turret is going to be massive damage, and that will help us kill elites. With our very low attack speed on this character, killing elites can be challenging. But Incendiary Turret dealing 37 damage a tick is going to be worth a ton. Hunting Trophy, unfortunately, we don't want to build on this character. We don't want crit chance, so we're going to pass on it. Bandana, I will lock. We have a Sharp Bullet already, and then we'll keep re-rolling. I currently have -1 consumable heal, so I really don't want to build another alien worm, but I'll lock a Fruit Basket, and I'll do a re-roll. And one more. It's worth it to re-roll because we have a Fish Hook, and we have a Cursed Bone Dice, so re-rolling is just really good for us. Still need my 6th mace, though. That would be a pretty big boost. So I definitely want to move over here and kill some of these ranged enemies. They were putting a little more pressure on me than I liked. So we're just getting rid of these clams, and that gives me a little more room to maneuver. I did let a couple lampreys spawn. I'm going to run away from them for now while I just get my health back, and then we can run back into this big group and clear out the lampreys, clear the rest of those enemies as well. And here's where you can see the thing where when we kill a bunch of enemies with one swing, we still only get 1 passive trigger. Even though I killed, you know, like 20 enemies with 1 swing in that last little engagement. Had to back off at the end there, so I left a lot of materials on the ground, but that's okay. We got a huge amount of engineering there. I could build dodge now. We do start with -20 dodge, but we've built some up from the medieval weapon tag. And it's a little easier when you have Barnacle to build dodge, but I'm not going to invest in a level 2 dodge. I'm going to keep rolling. I'll just take 4 regen. Regen is just so good for this character. All right, this Incendiary Turret will make it a lot easier to kill elites. Fruit Basket I'm buying. Saltwater I will buy for the extra move speed, but Bandana, when it's not cursed, I'm going to pass on it. I'll lock the mace here. Again, we don't want to buy engineering. We get it for free, so we'll pass on the cog, but we will buy both of these items and then do a reroll. Triangle of Power we don't want on this character unless it gets cursed, but I will lock it just for the Fish Hook. If it doesn't get cursed, I won't buy it. But if it does, then it's so much damage, and the damage loss from getting hit also gets reduced. So it becomes much better. Looking forward to next wave because we've got the Incendiary Turret and the Cursed Turret. So those together should help us kill the elite, which sometimes on the Dwarf you don't do. But for this character, for this build in particular, we've got these really high damage structures, which should help us DPS the elite down. Now, we might still not be able to get it, but it's much more likely that we can. That landmine spawned right under my attack and stole a bunch of kills, which stopped me from getting a passive trigger. Tragic. Riposte, we're just going to recycle. It's only 2 melee damage, and the 60 materials are worth more. We'll take 4 more regen. Did not get a Cursed Triangle of Power, but we did get a higher level mace. Which is really nice as well, and we finally managed to get another mace. So I'm actually gonna lock the Starfish here. I'm a little worried about this elite fight. Although our defensive stats are really good, I still just don't want to die. So I'll wait one wave to buy Starfish, and if it gets cursed, then it'll be awesome as well. We'll buy turret and tree, and then we'll roll, and then we can upgrade our weapons. Very nice to be able to do that, and we'll lock a landmines as well, and then go into this next wave. So you can see here, this elite can be somewhat tricky. I'm going to try to pull it over towards my incendiary turret, but unfortunately, this elite doesn't follow you. It just stays near the middle of the map, which means that our turrets are going to be of pretty limited utility for fighting it. Fortunately, the base damage of my weapons is high enough that we got it anyways. That elite is actually pretty tough for this character because we attack really slowly, which means that standing still, which you have to do against that elite's attack patterns because it always attacks next to you, is pretty dangerous against the other enemies on the field. And with slow attack speed, you're not going to clear those out before they deal damage to you. So that was actually one of the more dangerous elites we could have rolled, even though usually it's a really easy one. Don't really want to lose a bunch of engineering, but is it worth 20 luck for -5 engineering? We've got 150. I guess I'll take the wolf helmet here. And then I'm going to reroll. I'm looking for... This is a guaranteed level 3 upgrade. So I'm looking for armor, probably. 5 regen is also pretty tempting, but I really want to pick up more armor. Yeah, +4 armor is such a big deal. Really nice to get the cursed starfish. That will spike our economy quite a bit, and then we'll do a reroll. Very happy about this lemonade as well, and I'll lock both pumpkin and metal and do another reroll. We're not building dodge, so alloy. It also just doesn't give us stats we need, though. But I will buy the compass because I need move speed. So I'm going to pass on the alloy, and I'm not going to reroll one slot for 20 there. A Clockwork Wasp would be a really big deal as well. That would be one of the best things we could find. Improved Tools, unfortunately, does not work with maces or for the Dwarf in general, because your attack speed is always going to be incredibly low, so you're never going to get value off Improved Tools. We are at the point where I have enough structures now that I'm not dealing... the enemies are dying a little too fast for me to get a lot of passive triggers. But we've already gotten 150 free engineering and 70 free melee damage as a result of our dwarf passive, so anything we get from here on out is just gravy. $600 materials that wave. We'll take the Scar, and then... I could take 8 HP, but I feel like I can do better. I'll just take 2 armor. I'm not going to build dodge at this point. 2 armor is going to be pretty nice. The metal getting cursed is amazing. This is all stats that we desperately need. Max HP, % damage, armor, and speed are all great, so an excellent find for us. We'll take the compass. I'll take the pumpkin as well, because I have sharp bullet. Frozen Heart. I've actually got a bunch of elemental damage, so even though I don't need the base damage... don't really need base damage on my weapon. Frozen Heart's kind of fun. I'm taking this just for fun. If you were strictly trying to optimize winning the run, you wouldn't buy it there, but it's an item that I just like, so I'm gonna pick it up. We'll lock the Scar and Ball and Chain. Weird Ghost and Claw Tree we don't need, but a Cursed Pocket Factory would be one of the best things I could possibly find, because at this point, we are getting so many... we have so much engineering, and I've also managed to boost my... I've got piercing shots, I have extra piercing damage from the pumpkin. The Pocket Factory is going to go absolutely nuts. I think we also have a tree, so we've got more trees on the field to spawn turrets off of. So obviously we'll be thrilled to buy it, even if it doesn't get cursed, but if the fishhook happens to curse it, it'll be excellent. And again, at this point, I'm much less concerned about triggering my passive. I'm much more concerned about just making sure that we're surviving and making good money every wave. The engineering and melee damage that we get from our passive is no longer as important because our damage is super high. So all we really need is defensive stats, which we need money for. So we're focusing on that. Okay, the Greek Fire does work with our Incendiary turret, so I guess I'll take it, even though I did buy Frozen Heart. So a little punished for that. We'll do some re-rolling here, and then I'm actually going to take 20% attack speed, which is only 10%, but it still is going to increase our damage to the bosses quite a bit. Sadly, the Pocket Factory didn't get cursed. Ball and Chain, obviously our weapons are never attacking faster than the minimum, so we're buying it anyways. I could take one more try at cursing Pocket Factory. We do have now a pity bonus on our fishhook as well. Oh no, something else got cursed. What got cursed? Oh, the Scar, yeah. So I could buy the cake and save Pocket Factory. I think we'll be able to kill the elite, so no problem without the Pocket Factory. So I'm gonna try one more wave to get that cursed. I'll take the Bone Dice, I'll take the Landmines, -1 armor. I guess the Gummy Berserker is still worth buying here. Cursed items are just so good. Alright, so this elite we were able to set on fire with our Greek Fire and just the base damage of the Incendiary turret. One tick is worth like a couple thousand damage. So even with the Frozen Heart, the Incendiary turret is just putting in the work here. Taking a bunch of extra hits against this elite, unfortunately, but we did manage to get it, and then we'll go ahead and clear that out. Get all these curse alien kills. As long as you've been triggering your passive, the base damage of your weapons should stay high enough that you one-shot most enemies. This is why I said that Curse wasn't as important to this character as well, is because the Cursed enemies are surviving our first swing, which means that we're dealing just less overall damage. The Ashes, I am going to take, I think. We've got 20 armor, so I think we can get away with that. We'll take the bait. Triangle of Power, we're going to recycle, and then we'll do a reroll here, and 16% more damage, and this is a guaranteed level 4 upgrade, so I could take armor, I could roll for regeneration. Let's see what we get. I could take 21% damage, though with 150%, I think I'm going to roll, and yeah, we'll just take 5 armor. Getting additional armor is so important. Alright, well, unfortunately, we missed again on cursing the Pocket Factory, but that's okay. We'll take that. Bloody Hand, I have the regen to support it. I haven't been buying that much lifesteal, but it's still a bunch of base damage, so I will take it. I'll take the Cursed Lumberjack shirt. That's an extra trees for our Pocket Factory. Cursed Lure is obviously amazing as well, and then we'll roll. A Cursed Explosive turret would be one of the best things we could get. Also, just so much additional damage. Because we have piercing shots as well, so it's basically going to deal double damage to everything it hits. Making sure to trigger these Pocket Factory turrets as well, and get the loot alien kills. There is an inherent tension to the Dwarf, which is that the more engineering you get, the more you want to buy structures to make use of it. But the more structures you buy, the less able you are to kill 6 enemies in one swing and keep stacking up engineering. So I still like to just buy structures on this character. I think it works out to be more efficient, but there is a tension there. Got a lot of crates this wave, of course, because we had a Cursed Lure. Black Belt, at this point, we're already level 25, so I'm just going to recycle it. Cursed Fertilizer, I'm going to recycle as well. Clockwork Wasp, we're thrilled by. Shady Potion will take. Another turret, yes. Peaceful Bee doesn't do anything, because my dodge is still negative. I'll just take 2 armor. We are giving up, every time I take a level 2 armor upgrade, I am giving up some barnacle value, because it only increases, it increases things by 35%, but it rounds down. So if that 35% increase doesn't give you a whole extra armor, you lose out on armor there, but that's okay. We still are at 25 armor. I'll do a reroll here and another one. We'll take a garden and a metal plate. Unfortunately, a little late for this bag. Keep on rolling and rolling again. A little late for this baby squid as well, but small fish is worth picking up, and I'll pass on the poisonous tonic. I'll reroll. We'll take a mace. Goblet, probably worth grabbing also just for some extra healing, and at this point the book is no longer efficient to buy, so we'll lock these items going into wave 19. If we get a cursed mace, that would be really nice for killing the bosses a little faster. I will say that the Bloody Hand does make us a little bit more imperiled going into the boss wave, because it effectively reduces your regeneration by 10, so I don't have actually great healing right now. My consumable heal is just at even. Actually, I think it might be at +1. I think we found another lemonade, but I reduced it with an alien worm, and then have only found 1 or 2 consumable healing items to fix it. And my regen is good, but not amazing. We've got somewhere in the mid-30s right now, and a Bloody Hand, so my actual, yeah, we have 35 and a Bloody Hand, so my actual regeneration is not that high. I'll take the Little Frog, because pickup radius can help keep us alive. Metal is good. We'll roll here. I'll take 4 lifesteal just because we have Bloody Hand, and then we'll take 2 armor. A Cursed Goblet is a really nice find. I would have preferred the mace get cursed, but that's okay. Buy the penguin and roll. Coil is a bunch of % damage. Fruit basket is potentially a bunch of healing. I'll buy the fruit basket, and I guess I'll buy the coil as well, and then I'll do a quick reroll here. Oh, this cursed medical turret would have been a really nice find. 21 healing per shot on that medical turret is incredible. Yeah, even if I recycle 1 weapon, though, we won't be able to buy it, and it will cost me armor, so no feasible way to get this without hurting the character too much, but this would have been such an amazing find. Let's go to the next wave. So I want the bosses to be near my incendiary turret and the cursed explosive turret. Ideally, we stack them on top of each other on the explosive turret, where it can shoot 1 and then the explosion will hit both, because that will effectively double the damage that it's doing to both of them. Not only does it double the damage because it's attacking both of them at once, but each time it hits an enemy, it'll explode, and then the explosion will hit the other enemy. So it doubles the damage it's doing to the single target. Piercing shots on explosive weapons basically give you 4 times as much damage as normal instead of 2 times as much damage as normal. So I'm playing fairly cagey here away from the bosses, even though we have a lot of damage. Just because we have Pocket Factory and stuff, so inevitability is on our side in that wave. The Pocket Factory, the Incendiary Turret, the Explosive Turret, all of those will just kill the bosses for us passively, and the Greek Fire and everything. So I just needed to... I didn't need to put myself in any danger in order to win that wave. So we could just stay around the edges, and my structures just killed the bosses really fast because we have 160 engineering. Taking a look at our items here, so we've got... This fishhook was not bad. It gave us a couple important cursed items. Dangerous Bunny was great, 177 saved materials, but way more than that because it makes every reroll cheaper. 45k damage on the landmines, 169, nice, healing on the cute monkey. 135k damage on our turrets, and that includes the ones from Pocket Factory, so pretty good there. Recycling Machine actually kind of went off this run. It did better than it normally does, because we got a little unlucky on what items we found in crates. And then Barnacle, 14 levels worth of Barnacle is a bunch of cursed items and a bunch of extra free stats. So amazing performance there. Incendiary turret for 51k damage. A little lower than I expected, actually, although I did buy the Frozen Heart and reduce its burn speed. But it's still usually would have... I would have thought it would do better. 157 materials saved on Coupon and 21k damage on the Greek Fire. We also got 36 damage and only 1 lost HP on the Bone Dice with a 10% chance on the Cursed Bone Dice. So that was a pretty phenomenal Cursed Bone Dice here. The Ashes did cost us 3 armor, but the range and attack speed are both good. Pocket Factory, we already saw how good that was. And then 30k damage on the Explosive Turret, which we got really near the end of the run, with 540 damage per shot with 300% engineering scaling of our 160 engineering. All right, my friends, hope that you've enjoyed that run. As always, of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.